could you tell me a general synopsis of the book The Martian by Anthony Weir?
Okay, so this is a story based around an astronaut named Mark Watney and his survival on Mars. So he's stuck on Mars after a dust storm forces his crew to evacuate, but he gets left behind because he's hit by a flying satellite dish coming off their antenna. And he's stuck on Mars. He doesn't have enough food or water to survive, so he has to work to manufacture that, as well as other important materials such as oxygen, power, all of those. And he has to make a long journey to get to another spacecraft so he can get off Mars in like a flyby, really daring escape.
Gotcha. Alright, so this sounds primarily in the future. So, Tarek, do you believe that the time period of the book affected its reception?
So this book was written in a more modern time in 2011. So a big theme in this decade would be space exploration, specifically going to Mars. That's a big focus this decade. So I think that had a big role and influence in maybe the creation of this book.
Okay. So, Tarek, so the time period really affected it, but what's like the main message of the book?
Well, as you know, he's stuck on Mars. So a big theme in this book is how powerful the will to survive is.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually have two quotes from the book that actually really symbolize this. And so one is, he says, "Of course, I don't have any plan for surviving 4 years on 1 year of food, but one thing at a time here." So he's really just focused on living and surviving day by day, and basically just what happens next. And a second quote is, "Anyway, one problem at a time." So that's kind of how he's living, just to stay alive.
Right. Yeah. So Lincoln, what makes this book stand out?
So for me, it's some of the things the author does to connect the reader to Mark Watney. And so he characterizes Mark Watney as a very relatable and humorous character that people, enjoy reading. And so like an example of this was, he was saying it got a little cramped on their flight over. And by a little cramped, I mean we wanted to kill each other, which is, it's a nice, funny addition to this book that helps you like the character more. Another thing that really helped me enjoy this book was there's a flip between Earth and Mars perspective on the situation. So you look at the NASA scientists worried trying to figure out how to save Mark, and then at the same time, Mark is at times he's really worried, but at other times he's, being the relatable character he is, being humorous. And like an example of this is one of the scientists says, "I wonder what he's thinking right now." And it flips to Mark's perspective, and his question, what he's thinking is, how come Aquaman can control whales? They're mammals, makes no sense. It's a really kind of interesting, and it breaks up the kind of, survival, worried about the elements kind of theme of this book. And then a third thing was the up and down plot. Throughout the story, a good thing happens, and then very quickly something bad happens, and he has to survive and try and figure it out. So it's a really up and down plot. And an example of this was he says, I took it apart, found the problem, and fixed it, when referring to a water filter that wasn't functioning at full capacity. And then the very next day, his home, the hab, breaches. So it's a very back and forth. Something's good happening, something good is happening, then something bad, then something good, then something bad throughout the entire story.
This product really sounds great. I really want to read it.
It's a really good book.